Welcome to Legends of All Time. Today we talk about a man who really rebooted Western Europe. His name is Charlemagne. In Latin, his name means Charles the Great. He was king of the Franks and the creator of a big empire that changed history. Imagine Europe after the fall of Rome. Cities ruined, roads broken, laws forgotten. Different tribes fight for land and power. There is no strong center. No one controls the rules. People live in fear of wars, raids, and hunger. On this shaky ground, a new power rises: the Franks. The Franks are a Germanic people. They live on the lands of modern France, Belgium, parts of Germany, and the Netherlands. Their king, Clovis, accepted Christianity in the 5th century. That made the Franks allies of the Roman Church. By the time of Charlemagne, this alliance became the key to power in Western Europe. Charlemagne was born around 742. We do not know the exact place or date. He was the son of Pepin the Short, king of the Franks. From childhood, he saw war, politics, church rituals. He learned to ride, fight, give orders. He grew tall, strong, and energetic. He liked hunting, horses, weapons, but he also respected priests and scholars. This mix made him dangerous and unique. In 768, Pepin died. His kingdom was split between Charlemagne and his brother Charlemagne. Two kings, one realm, one problem. They did not trust each other. Europe held its breath. Would the Frankish kingdom break apart into pieces again? It almost did. Then Charlemagne suddenly died in 771. Charlemagne became the single ruler. This turned his life into a fast road toward empire. Once he became sole king, Charlemagne started to move. He did not sit in one capital. He led campaigns year after year. His enemies stood in a wide circle around his lands. To the north and east lived pagans. To the south and southeast stood kingdoms that called themselves Christian but often worked against him. He answered not with talk, but with armies. His first big step was in Italy. The Lombards controlled northern Italy and threatened the Pope in Rome. The Pope needed help. The Franks were his best chance. In 773, Charlemagne crossed the Alps with his army. Hard roads, snow, narrow passes, but his troops made it through. He defeated the Lombards and in 774 took the title King of the Lombards. Now he ruled both the Franks and the Lombards and held a strong hand over Italy. Next came his longest and hardest war, the fight against the Saxons. The Saxons lived in what is now northern Germany. They followed old gods and old customs. They did not want a Frankish king or a Christian faith. From 772 to 804, Charlemagne led many campaigns against them. Forests burned, villages fell. People were forced to accept baptism or go into exile. It was a brutal process. For the empire, it meant a new Christian land. For the Saxons, it meant the end of their old way of life. Not every campaign was a success. In 778, he went into Spain to fight the Muslim rulers there. He hoped to push his power over the Pyrenees. The campaign failed. On the way back, in the narrow pass of Roncesvalles, Basque fighters attacked the rear of his army. Many knights died. Out of this event, a legend was born, the story of Roland, friend and hero of Charlemagne. The real fight was small, but the myth became huge. Step by step, Charlemagne built a massive realm. By the end of his conquests, his power spread over most of modern France, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, northern Italy, and part of Spain. No ruler in the West had controlled so much land since the fall of the Western Roman Empire. His kingdom was not just big on the map, it was also tighter, more organized, and more connected than the kingdoms before him. The most famous moment of his life came in Rome in the year 800. It was Christmas Day. Charlemagne knelt in St. Peter's Basilica to pray. Pope Leo III placed a crown on his head and announced him Emperor of the Romans. Many later writers turned this scene into a grand drama, but even if the details are debated, the meaning is clear. The West had a new emperor, not in Constantinople, but in the lands of the Franks. This coronation mattered for 3 reasons. First, it gave Charlemagne a sacred label. He was no longer just king, he was emperor, a ruler blessed by God and the Church. Second, it told the world that the Pope had the power to make an emperor. Third, it showed a new idea. The broken Western Roman Empire was being reborn in a new form. This was the seed of what would later be called the Holy Roman Empire. Charlemagne understood that war alone could not hold such a wide realm. He needed rules, order, loyal helpers. He traveled constantly from region to region. He held assemblies where nobles, bishops, and counts came to hear his commands. He sent written orders called capularies. These texts set rules about justice, taxes, church life, military service, and even details of daily behavior. To control local rulers, he used special agents called missi dominici. Each pair, usually a noble and a churchman, went around the empire checking how counts and bishops carried out the king's orders. They listened to complaints from simple people. They could punish or report abuses. These inspectors were the eyes and ears of the king in faraway lands. Charlemagne also tried to improve justice. Trials were still harsh. There were ordeals like holding hot iron or putting a hand in boiling water to let God decide. But at the same time, he pushed written laws for different peoples: Franks, Lombards, Bavarians, and others. He wanted judges to follow rules, not only personal revenge or bribes. His dream was not modern law, but it was a step away from pure chaos. One of the most important parts of his rule was his close bond with the church. Bishops and abbots were key figures in his empire. They helped him collect information, spread his orders, educate the elite, convert new lands. He protected them, and in return, they supported his power. Sometimes he even interfered in church problems, calling church councils and judging bishops. For him, kingdom and church formed one body under God. Charlemagne was also famous for his personal life. He married several times and had many children. He kept his daughters close at his court and did not rush to marry them off to foreign rulers, which was unusual for that time. He liked simple food and disliked luxury. He wore traditional Frankish clothes, not fancy Roman-style garments. He swam often and loved the baths at Aachen. These small details helped shape the picture of a strong but human ruler. If Charlemagne had only fought wars, his name might have faded, but he also launched a real cultural makeover. Historians call it the Carolingian Renaissance. He gathered learned men from many lands: Alcuin from England, Paul the Deacon from Italy, Theodulf from Spain, and others. They came to his court to teach, write, correct books, advise the king. At his palace, he organized a palace school. There, not only young nobles studied, but also Charlemagne himself. He tried to learn to write. He could read Latin and maybe some Greek. He kept writing tablets under his pillow to practice. He started late, so his handwriting never became good, but the effort shows his mindset. He believed that knowledge gave power, just like the sword. Under his rule, monasteries and churches opened schools. Boys learned basic reading, writing, church music, some arithmetic, and Bible stories. Of course, this was not mass education, but it was a big improvement compared to earlier times. Without this wave of schooling, many old texts of ancient authors would have been lost forever. Another key change was in writing itself. His scholars developed a clear, rounded script called Carolingian minuscule. It used spaces between words and clear letters. It was much easier to read than the earlier cramped scripts. This might sound small, but it changed a lot. Because of this script, copying books became faster, reading became easier, and many works of ancient Rome survived the Middle Ages. Even our modern Latin letters in printed books are partly based on this style. The Frankish church under Charlemagne also cleaned up its practices. He wanted the same liturgy everywhere. He ordered priests to preach in a language people could understand, not only in fancy Latin.
He pushed monks to follow strict rules. He demanded that churches guard and copy correct versions of the Bible and other important texts. His empire turned into a network of writing centers. Economy under Charlemagne stayed mostly rural. People worked the land. There were no big cities like in ancient Rome, but he tried to make the system more stable. He ordered that silver coins be minted with stable weight. This helped trade. He also gave orders about market rules, fair measures, treatment of travelers. He wanted merchants to feel safe because trade brought wealth, and wealth fed armies and churches. Still, life for most people remained hard. Peasants paid taxes, worked on the fields of their lords, feared bad harvests and diseases. Wars could bring ruin in an instant. The empire looked strong, but under the surface, it depended on personal loyalty and the energy of one
man at the top, and that man could not live forever. In his later years, Charlemagne felt his strength fade. He crowned his son Louis the Pious as co-emperor in 813 to prepare a smooth succession. In January 814, Charlemagne fell ill at Aachen and died. He was buried there, in the city he had turned into his main residence. Legends later said he sat in his tomb on a throne, ready to rise again when needed. That is myth, but it shows how large he stood in people's minds. After his death, the weakness of the system showed itself. His grandsons fought over the inheritance. The empire was divided by the Treaty of Verdun in 843 into three main parts: a western kingdom that later turned into France, an eastern kingdom that became the root of Germany, and a middle strip that often changed hands. The big unit he created broke, but its pieces did not vanish. They became the core states of Western Europe. Charlemagne's image lived on for centuries. Medieval emperors of the Holy Roman Empire called themselves his heirs. Kings of France claimed him as their great ancestor. The Church remembered him as a defender of the faith. In some places, people even treated him like a saint. Poets and writers used his name in epic tales. He became more than a king. He became a symbol. Why does Charlemagne still matter today? Because a lot of what we call Western Europe started to take shape under him. The map of states, the alliance between kings and churches, Latin learning, the idea of a Christian Europe under one spiritual roof, all this grew in his time. He did not invent everything from zero, but he gathered old pieces and put them together in a new way. His empire did not last long as a single unit, but it set patterns. It showed how power could spread over many peoples but still keep some common rules. It proved that education and religion could support political control. It revived respect for law and writing. It sent a message forward. Even after a great collapse, order can return if someone is ready to fight, think, and build. When you hear the name Charlemagne, do not think only about crowns and battles. Think about schools in cold stone monasteries. Think about monks bent over manuscripts by candlelight. Think about coins stamped with a new authority. Think about roads where royal messengers ride from town to town with orders sealed in wax. His world was rough, but it was also creative. So, this was Charlemagne, king of the Franks and maker of a Western empire. A warrior with a sword in one hand and a book in the other. A ruler who united lands, forced faith, pushed learning, and left behind a Europe that would never be the same. If you enjoyed this story, put a like, subscribe to the channel, and check out other videos here on Legends of All Time.